Welcome back to the artist always known as Alejandro. It's me, Alejandro, with my character Artebus. She's a vampire from my movie script, Dead Planet. So it's time to remaster her. Wasn't really crazy about her eyes, her face. Even her boobs are a little too big. Yeah, see, look at that. Things seem a little off. That right eye seems a little disjointed from the left. I'm not digging it. So we're gonna remaster it. See what happens. Most of the body structure I like. Where we're erasing the face. Actually, what we're doing, when I originally did this drawing, I put her hair and her face layers on the same. So I duplicated the layer and I'm getting rid of her face and body on one layer and then her hair on the other, so they will be, there you go, see, this way I'll keep her hair on one layer above and then I'll get rid of her hair on this layer, but maintain the rest of her body. So yes, Artebus is from Dead Planet. I do have a Dead Planet playlist on my channel if you ever want to check it out. I wrote a script for Dead Planet. I don't know if I've mentioned it on this playlist before, but it's a vampires and werewolves fight zombies movie. Yeah. Here we go. See, hair is on one layer and the body's on another. Feel better about that. So, time to remaster. I did draw her in a G pen. Flying like she's flying away from danger. But she's ready to flip around and attack, counterattack with her crossbow. But I'm just coloring my label so I know what's what. Yeah, just not crazy about this. So time to start erasing. And even what I do here, even the slight adjustments I do here, as you'll see, I completely restructure this if you see the thumbnail. How do we get there? But we'll show you. You know, when I'm writing, I do kind of think visually. I mean, when I wrote the script for Dead Planet, I had my lead in mind. Cyril is her name. But other than that, everyone else kind of came. I knew there was going to be another male vampire and a leader, an older, wiser vampire. And I made the vampires here more Renaissance medieval type, where they use crossbows, swords, bows and arrows, those kind of weapons, whereas the military are the werewolves, and they use tanks, machine guns with wooden bullets. And of course, when all those fails, if they have to, they'll go wolf out and take them on hand to hand. But the basic premise is the werewolves and vampires have been bitter enemies for a long time, years. And then one night, when they're engaged in battle, they're attacked by zombies. They don't know what they are. They're new. And they're going after both. So this presents a problem. So eventually they have to team up to fight this common enemy. And in my movie, if you follow along with the playlist, you'll see that the zombies are being controlled by a very vengeful human whose wife and child were killed in the midst of a skirmish with vampires and werewolves. Well, they were just collateral damage, but he survived and found this talisman to control the dead and make them do his bidding so he can have revenge on these vampires and werewolves. And then the surviving vampires and werewolves have to team up and find this guy and stop him. There you have it. And Artebus is one of the vampires. She would be like a resident badass. I wanted to make her dark-haired because it's a nice opposition to Cyril, who's a blonde. She's our lead. So I have to have a dark-haired vampire. I have my spout of tea. I was still using the G pen, much to my chagrin. I'm kind of like over the G pen now that I've been using the round mixing brush. Seriously. But I was still using the G pen in this early phase, but I actually relent and go back to the round mixing brush. Just had to restructure her jaw. It just was not. I think the face was too wide. You know, since I've been drawing, I can see where things can get improved. And I'll show you how I do it. In the digital realm, of course, if you have Clip Studio Paint. But I'm sure it'd work with any others. Well, you can see the flaws, even in the way the neck is lined up. I like what I did with her hair. But I just need to erase some things just to give me a little more wiggle room. Even her hair is shrunken down. But I've spent a lot of time on this only to change it up majorly. But when you're doing this, you discover what works and doesn't. It's the doing, the act of adjusting, editing, drawing, erasing, that you say, this works, this doesn't. Eyes are just still a pain in the arsenal for me. Yep, and I'm reducing the size of her boob. It was just too big. People even commented. Like, geez, dude, it seems a little bit much. Like, okay, I see where you're going. And, you know, I am kind of a boob man with my drawings, but it didn't need to be that big. As you could see in the previous sketch, it was really big, unnecessarily. He wanted to make it. You know, she has body armor on. It would be almost like knight armor molded to her body, so yeah, big boobs are just unnecessary. Okay, so as you can see, I have changed her face a lot. I went to my round mixing brush. Yep, I relented and went to it because I'm just so much better with it now, and I changed her nose and restructured that. So now it's time to bring in the color layer. Yeah, whoop-a-dee-doo. So if I left the color layers as is, this is what happened. Stuff doesn't line up, obviously, because I've adjusted things. So I'm taking all the color layers out. I'm just going to start from scratch with some of them. But I will go to my original sketch and just do my droplet tool and take the colors from there and go back to my duplicate clip. So make sure you make a duplicate clip. If you're redoing your own drawing and you have it colored already, do another duplicate clip. But I picked the erase selection tool for I'm just redoing the whole face. There's no reason to erase lines, just erase that selection and bam, you're good. You may have to zoom in and fill in all the little extra layers. If you're doing it this way. If you know a better method, please share with me. I do the fill tool. It's pretty simple. I mean, if this works here, if I can do it, you can do it. That's always the way I like to think when I'm making these videos. If I can do it, you can do it. So yeah, you see all this? Her lips and her neck are on one layer, so just select and erase. There we go. And then just start filling it in. I've quickly realized I got to get rid of her neck stuff there. Because you could always add that layer later. As you try to fill it in, it's going to fight with it. And you have to fill in and do things like, I don't want to do the selection thing. I made her lips a little darker. I mean, I made them just like a bright orangey thing. Like, I don't think she would really go through the trouble to make her lips nice and glossy. And she's trying to fight werewolves and stuff. It's always good to deselect that layer when you're adding white, because you won't be able to see the white if you have the paper layer on. I see I had some extra, so let's get rid of that. Because I want my white of the eyes all in the same layer. I came up with Dead Planet, I think, around the time I just happened to finally see the Underworld movies. And this is the 2010s. And The Walking Dead just started. And I don't know if it was one evening I was bouncing from one channel to the other. I'm like, wait a second, I've never seen werewolves, vampires, and zombies in one thing together. So, that's where the story was born. I just thought it'd be better like they were controlled by someone. Someone can calculate the attacks and have the zombies attack them at his own leisure. Time to delete that. So many layers. You don't need that. So I moved some things around, but most of it's okay. Keeping the same colors for most part. And I put some of the, I actually think her face layer was kind of in the middle. And we know I like to have my face layers a little higher. And the clip to layer below, some stuff didn't line up, so I erased that, and now I'm going to start all over again with my, of course, airbrush tool, making it a little darker, giving those accents to her face. I kept this one pretty simple. I did not use a lot of, hardly any, my muscle lines that I draw on most of them. I just kept it with the shading. I think it came out okay. Doing the blending tool. So when I was writing Dead Planet, I think I wrote some of it in a notebook. Eventually I did it in Final Draft, screenwriting program, quite awesome. But even when I was out and about, I remember I was at karaoke and I used some karaoke slips to write because ideas were coming to me and I needed to write. I'm like, well, I can't let this opportunity slip by. So here I am writing on karaoke slips some lines for the story. It did help. I think there was some that I used in the final script. The way I approach it, first and foremost, these characters are people with problems. They have dilemmas, they're trying to figure things out. Yes, they're vampires and werewolves, but to make them someone you'd want to relate to or understand, they have to be people first. They have their emotions, they have their wants, they have their desires, they have their conflicts, their struggles. I mean, why else would you follow the story if that wasn't happening? Why would you? That's the whole point. And I'm drawing on her eyelashes on this layer. So draw your eyelashes and stuff after you've colored her face, right? Because if you don't, then you're going to have pieces of the skin and you have to fill them in. It's these little blank spots. So annoying. I got rid of that. I was trying to get the effect of metal, which was okay. Just select the color and go to a lower gray. I picked the airbrush. Yeah, I kept the airbrush. Just kind of giving that metal sheen, but I add something else later on. Just to give you that little metal effect. And it's going to be some serious breastplate. It'll be molded to fit a woman's chest. She might have done it herself. Like I said, she's badass. She doesn't fool around. But it took me a while. Then I just decided to start drawing the whole script. The only thing with my narration and such is that I am saying script lines, settings. So I'll say exterior, forest, evening. Interior, Army base, afternoon. I probably could change it, but I don't want to. But it's there. I did draw it by hand, the entire thing, and then I inked it in with my artist pens. I didn't color it, but I kept it the way it was. Some things I kind of rushed. This is 2010. If I really, really hunkered down and put my time into it, I could have gotten a lot more detail out of it. But I did it. That's the important thing. I did the entire movie. I drew the entire movie and narrated everything. The version I have on YouTube, though, my wife does Artebus's lines and Cyril's lines. Those are the only two female characters in the entire story. There is a female zombie, but what does she go do? That's about it. Or it can be... That's about it. Yeah, I added some sound effects and stuff. I did not add music. Playing around with that. The crossbow looks kind of neat, but I think I used a photo reference for the crossbow. I'd like to think she could have a fast-loading crossbow. If you're a vampire, you move fast. If you're taking it on some werewolves, you got to move even faster because they've got speed. So it's not like you want to stop and add an arrow manually by taking out of your quiver. There's got to be like a fast loading system in there. Right? Right. I think in some of these I made the mistake too of putting some stuff close like this forearm gauntlet with the butt of the rifle of the crossbow. Yep, see, they're on the same layer. I didn't know. Even now, sometimes that just happens where things should not be on the same layer. For some reason I colored that bicep area gray. I don't know why. I'll fix it later. For now, just adding that little metal sheen. I will fix this later. I know I was looking at it later, like, wait, something seems wrong. Like, oh yeah. The pattern on her legs should be the same in the bicep area. Don't worry, we'll fix it. It's a lot of work just figuring out. When you have all this, there's so many different layers. You just keep turning them on and off to you just realize, oh, okay, what's on what layer? I think I purposely erased the butt of the rifle so it could be on its own layer. See? Now I don't have to worry about it. And put it on a different layer. Just have to redo those once I erase that. Because even that was on the same layer as the rifle. But it's funny they call that the butt of the rifle. Baby got butt. Oops, cuidado. Hope your creating's going well this week. Did you create anything new? Show it to me. I'd love to see what you guys do. No one showed me anything. I know I'm a small fish in a big sea, but I like to see what you come up with. Especially the stuff I do. I'd love to see your versions of this stuff. Support my artists, my fellow artists. Gotsta. We're all in this together. And as I'm doing this, it just becomes this down to the wire deal. My videos drop on Friday. But even as late as Thursday, I'm doing sometimes I'm drawing. This one, no, I fixed it. But then I got to put it in the editor and then change the speed. If I did this at normal speed, this video would be over an hour. And there's no need to. And then once it's edited with just the clips, then I have to go back and narrate over it. It's just a lot easier this way. Yes, granted, I wish I had a better microphone system, but hey, this will do for now. Some of my videos I did use my better microphone, but it doesn't attach to the computer I'm editing on. Go figure. So hey, like and subscribe so I can afford to buy a new microphone, please. Or hire me to draw something for you. That'd be cool. I'd love to draw something for you. Just remember, it's Poppy style. Alejandro style. My dog is snoring in the background. I had to have another layer. I think I had, her closer boot needed to be on another layer, not that color. So I put another layer below. And that kind of, well, I had to erase some stuff, but that kind of lined up pretty well. That's a dragon scale pattern on her leggings. Pretty rad. And those are cracks. That's a crack. That's what it says. A crack brush tool that I use for her wings. Kind of look like it. It has almost like ceramic feel to it. Different. It was fun to play with. Now her hair, I do this one base layer of like a very dark blue gray, and two separate layers. The top layer of her hair, and that bottom layer is going to have that. And yeah, here's my fix. Take that little bit of the blue there and erase the stuff I don't need, and then get those dragon scales. Fix that. Go darker. Add some shading. I'm going to come back to the dragon scales. I just want to do her wing. Her back wing. And there's my cat. Now she wants to be petted at all times. While I'm narrating, you're a funny cat. There's the crack brush. Isn't that cool? Look at that thing. So to reduce it and then go to the layer I want. Forgot I needed to do some switcherooskies. There we go. See, look at that. Isn't that so cool? I just have to imagine the way that part of the wing would be on the other side. And then I just do my airbrush over to give it something, as you can see. So it's not just this stagnant thing. It gives a little more dimension, as you know. And then with her hair, I added some clip to layer below thing. And I just started playing around. Decided I was going to maybe not use that. I'm looking at all the other options. Make it dark. I said, let's use the charcoal one. I use it at a pretty high setting here because I want it to be black. Because her hair is black. Then I made it a little smaller just to fill in all these extra cool drawing lines. As long as you have clip to layer below, it won't bleed over into her face. Then I did the blending tool, and I think I did the blur. Just to, as you can see, just kind of stretch the hair out. So it's not this big black mess. I still want the layer below to show, but not be too prominent. Lots of stuff you gotta do. And that's the fun thing. You experiment and you say, what works? Like, oh, what brush do I want to use for this hair? A charcoal brush. That's fun. And filling in the dark. Now you can see lots of tips of the hair. I was trying to do the enclose and fill, but I quickly realized it's going over this. So just do the regular fill-in tool. Yeah, some of these are just sitting out in space, which we do not want. It looks wrong. Ooh, and once you start doing that, it starts filling in other things. Now for these smaller things, you can use the enclose and fill. If you make it too dark, hair just looks like this big one color mass, and you don't want that. And such a fine line between stupid and clever. Now I'm using the enclose and fill thing. Just sprucing things up. Just adding those little touches, but yeah. There you go. And when in doubt, shut the layer down and see how it looks. It's just playing around, and I first was going to try to do these streaks of I don't know what I was thinking. So quickly undo those, man. That's just not working. Let's go back to that. Yeah. Undo. You can undo quite a few times. And then I went back and then I added I got a little lighter and just added some of these highlights. Again, I don't want it to look just like this total black mass. Anybody can do that. An artist always known as Alejandro will take it to another level, right? Like my friend said, do it till it can't be done. I think I'm going to add just a little, I'm highlighting it so I get the airbrush. See, just give you a little bit more, like maybe the sun is hitting behind. And just giving you a little bit of highlights. Spruce it up a bit. Spent a while on this hair. It does take time. I had to erase some things here, see? Just a little bit that was bleeding outside that just doesn't look right. Yeah. Here we go. And now, time to do that dragon scale on her arm. Here we go. Look at that. One pass and a second pass. Look at that. Cool dragon scale. I like that. And as you can see, I did a little something. I added one of my hatching brushes just to give her armor metal, just a little something else. A little, like it's been through war, battles and stuff, just some kind of character. And there's the final result. Look at that. So I already had the background, and I have these, I think they were airbrush lines showing her flight direction. See the trails coming off? Nice. So there is the remastered Artebus, which is another name for bat, if you didn't know. I don't know what language, but yes. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me remaster another one of my drawings in color. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll bring you more. Until next week, this is the artist always known as Alejandro saying, keep creating.